Welcome to DSEJ Online Home Classes, an attempt to connect learner with instructor, a digital initiative by Directorate of School Education, Jammu. Dear students, I am Sabir Hussain, working as teacher in the Department of School Education, Jammu. Today, I am going to share with you a poem from your J.K. Bose prescribed textbook for class 10. This is lesson number 4. Speak Up by Faiz Ahmed Faiz. Before I start, let us have an introduction about the poet. Faiz Ahmed Faiz was born in Sialkot, Punjab, now in Pakistan, on February 13, 1911. He is regarded as one of the most influential Urdu poets of the 20th century. Faiz Ahmed Faiz added a new strain of longing in poems, writing during long imprisonment as a political dissident. Modern Urdu poetry is incomplete without him. Faiz was a journalist and broadcaster. He fought all his life for the rights of the poor. He was associated with the literary movement Anjumane Taraqi Pasand Musannifan Hind. His notable poetic works include Daste Saba, Hand of Breeze, and Zindan Nama, Kalaboos. His nikah marriage was performed in one of the library rooms of Government College for Women, Maulana Azad Road, Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir. The present poem reveals his ideas of a classless society. Faiz was nominated twice for the Nobel Prize. He won the Lenin Peace Prize in 1962. Faiz Ahmed Faiz died in Lahore, Punjab on November 20, 1984. Central idea of the poem. Originally written in Urdu, this poem is a beautiful expression of poet's desire to speak up his mind. He wants to utilize the strength of his words and their impact. He wants to free himself from the shackles of bondage, and he firmly believes that we need to raise our voice and speak aloud and clearly. When we read this poem in original Urdu language, the beauty of poetry grows manifold. There is no doubt that Urdu is the most poetic language. Every word uttered in Urdu is a poem in itself. This poem is taken from Faiz Ahmed's collection of poems Naqsh Faryadi, published in 1941. Faiz wrote Speak Up during the final phase of the British rule. It is evocative of that era. Faiz's poetry underwent a seminal change around 1940 when he gave up writing traditional poems. There is a paradigm shift from poetry for poetry's sake to poetry with purpose. This occurred with one of the most intense poems, मुझसे पहली सी मोहब्बत मेरे महबूब न मांग, मैंने समझा था कि तू है तो दरख्शां है हयात. Ask me not of that old fervor in which Faiz Ahmed Faiz is at his best as a socialist who believes that there lies a world beyond the realm of love. He is deeply touched by the sight of the poverty stricken people and uses heart throbbing images to bring out the alternate realities of life with pathos. As Faiz believed in classless society, his poetry is an emblem of humanism. He lived in exile. He returned to his motherland just a few years before his death. Speak Up is a beautiful expression of the poet to defy oppression, a poem of profound meaning and courage that gives voice to the voiceless. Here is the poem. Speak up, for your lips are not sealed, and your words are still your own. This upright body is yours. Speak while your soul is your own. Explanation. In the first stanza of the poem, the poet addresses, encourages, and prepares his countrymen to speak up. The poet actually instigates his people through his poem to speak up against the cruel, unfair, and unjust system. The poet wants these people to hear the voice of their soul and speak. He wants them to speak because they possess a well built body and a soul surviving in it. So, they should utilize their energy to defy oppression. Look there in that smithy. Its red oven fires flames. The padlocks are already opening their mouths, and each fetter is skirting around. In these lines, the poet asks the readers to look inside the blacksmith's workshop. Here, the poet compares the national struggle with smithy of a blacksmith. This smithy or forge is bearing such a high temperature that it can melt any metal. He feels that the rebels of this struggle have already ignited the revolution like the fires flames of smithy. It is because of this intense agitation and revolution of the rebels that chains and shackles of slavery are about to break before them. Speak up now, for time is running out. Before your body and mind fade away, tell us for truth is not yet dead. Speak. The poet asked the readers to come up with the truth as the time is ticking away, running out. Speak up before the death puts an end to all our activities and our mind and body wither away. The only thing which is needed is the encouragement by joining the struggle. So he requested his countrymen to join the struggle and raise the voice against the harassment. So he pleased to them to speak the truth before it is too late. Analysis of the poem. The poem Speak Up, written by Faiz Ahmed Faiz, is intended to encourage the reader to speak boldly and clearly what he thinks and what he believes in. He wants the reader to speak up for those who are confronting injustice and cruelties by tyrants. Thinking about the poem. Question number 1. The poet provokes the readers to speak up. Why does he do so? Answer. Speak Up is a beautiful poem to oppose the oppression of British rule. Faiz Ahmed Faiz is the poet of love and justice and stands out at the voice of voiceless. The poet encourages readers to speak up honestly what they think of oppression. He unites them to register their protest fearlessly. He wants his countrymen to join hands with freedom fighters and oppress their resentment against British oppression. Question number 2. The poet addresses the readers to come up with the truth. How does he do so? Answer. The poet addresses the readers to speak up fearlessly. He says, truth is not yet dead. It is going to remain forever. Each of them has his own soul, which is free and unrestrained. It is therefore disgraceful to remain the voice of suppressed. They ought to speak up against the British oppression. Question number 3. How will the chains break? Answer. When the people come up with a heroic fight against the rulers and fearlessly condemn the policies of oppression, the chains that lock them will get weakened and finally they will be broken. No chain can remain unbroken if the people speak up at the opportune time. Question number 4. Why does the poet urge the reader to speak up now? Answer. Speak up now, urge time running out. The poet urges his countrymen to utilize the energy, strength, and opportunity properly. The poet urges his countrymen to cooperate in the freedom struggle, for this is the high surge time to rid of the suppression. Question number 5. Do you think Speak Up is an effort of the poet to give voice to the voiceless. How? Answer: yes. The poem Speak Up is an invigorating poem. It speaks against the suppression. The poet Faiz Ahmed Faiz finds that the common man is too oppressed to speak up. She is dumb with fear. The poet wants these people to hear the voice of their soul and speak up. They should realize that God has bestowed them with lips to speak. They should come out of fear and speak up freely and liberally. What are the metaphors used in the poem? Answer: first definition of metaphor. Metaphor is a direct comparison between two unlike things without using like or as. As we see in the stanza 2 of the poem. Smithi, which refers the Indian freedom struggle. The padlocks are already opening their mouth. This shows now the British started oppressing the rebels and dissidents. Each fetter is skirting around. This describes how the British searched for each freedom fighter. Its red oven fights flames. These words stand for the resentment of people against the British rule. What images does the poet draw from the blacksmith's shop? First of all, definition of imagery. As a literary device, imagery consists of descriptive language that can function as a way for the reader to better imagine the world of piece of literature and also symbolism to the work. Imagery draws on the five senses, namely the details of the taste: touch, sight, smell, and sound. In the poem, the poet draws following images from the blacksmith's shop. Its red oven fights flames. The padlocks are already opening their mouth. Each fetter is skirting around. Read the poem in Urdu and explain the paradox. बोल, ये थोड़ा वक्त बहुत है. Here I am going to read the original poem in Urdu. बोल के लब आज़ाद हैं तेरे, बोल ज़ुबां अब तक तेरी है, तेरा सुतवां जिस्म है तेरा, बोल के जान अब तक तेरी है. देख कि आहंगर की दुकान में तुंद है शोले, सुर्ख है आहन, खुलने लगे कुफलों के दहाने, फैला हर एक जंजीर का दामन. बोल ये थोड़ा वक्त बहुत है, जिस्म जुबां की मौत से पहले, बोल के सच जिंदा है अब तक, बोल जो कुछ कहना है कह ले, बोल के लब आज़ाद हैं तेरे. Explanation of the paradox. बोल ये थोड़ा वक्त बहुत है. The statement seems to be contradictory, but it is true. The poet actually reminds the reader about the short duration of life. Life, according to him, is very short, but whatever period has been granted to us by Almighty God should be used to fight against injustice and cruelty. The short time at our disposal should not dishearten and discourage us and lower our morale. For the interest of the students, the teacher can play the poem sung by Tina Sani and also play other poems by Faiz Ahmed Faiz sung by Abida Parveen and Tina Sani. Speak Up is available on www.youtube.com. Note, it is an activity based and can be performed by the summary of the poem. The poem Speak Up is an English translation of an Urdu poem Bol, written by an eminent Urdu poet and a Nobel nominee Faiz Ahmed Faiz, and translated from Urdu by Shiv K. Kumar. In this poem, the poet intends to give voice to the oppressed and voiceless people. He addresses his countrymen that they should stand against the tyranny and brutality of the Britishers. Actually, this poem is an evocation of the patriotic feelings in the countrymen of the poet. He wants to free his motherland from the clutches of the white oppressors and thus is using very emotional and zealous slogans to free themselves. So, the poet says to his countrymen to speak up because they have been bestowed with lips and the power of communication by Almighty God. He wants them to speak because they possess a well built body and a soul surviving in it. So they should utilize their energy to defy oppression. The poet compares the national struggle with smithy of a blacksmith, as we see in the second stanza, where the poet has used metaphors. This smithy or forge is bearing such a high temperature that it can melt any metal. He feels that the rebels of this struggle have already ignited the revolution like the fire's flames of smithy. It is because of this intense agitation and revolution of the rebels that chains and shackles of slavery are about to break before them. The only thing which is needed is the encouragement by joining the struggle. So, he requested his countrymen to join the struggle and raise their voice against the harassment because the time is limited. He wants them to awaken before their death occurs. So he pleads to them to speak the truth before it is too late. Dear students, This is all about the introduction, central idea, complete explanation, question answers, literary devices, and summary in the poem. Hope you have understood. I wish you all the best with the message: stay home, stay safe.